So here's what goes into replacing the seals for the water pump on a first generation Goldwing. I had this all done. I had it all installed on the bike, and on my first startup, I had a coolant leak from the weep hole beneath the water pump, and I had to take it all out. So I ordered a new set of gaskets and O-rings. Typically, I've had good luck with this brand. This is my fourth Goldwing restoration where I've used it. I'm not exactly sure what went wrong this time. The only thing that I found when I took it apart was that the three bolts that hold the water pump into this casting here, I might not have had them torqued down just right. I'm not sure. Taking it out, they seemed a little bit loose to me. So I may have goofed that up. Those get installed with these three crush washers here that seal it up pretty well. And other than that, I didn't find anything that looked crazy when I took it apart. This is a new, genuine Honda water pump. I did fill it up with antifreeze through this hole, and I let it sit for several days, and just like this, and the coolant did not come out through the seals on the shaft or anything like that. So I think the water pump itself is okay, and I don't see any problems inside here where it would seal. There's no ring seal here, and then there's one that goes around here, and you can see those. These are the old ones on the water pump. I don't see any damage or problems, so still a little mysterious to me. The only thing I found was these bolts may not have been as tight as they should have been. So I finally have everything I need to rework this. I'm really glad that I used these hex head, Allen head fasteners, because getting the JIS head original screws out when the engine's in the frame is extremely difficult because the frame is in the way of many of these. So using a ball end on an Allen wrench allows you to get in there and loosen these. And because they're stainless steel, I like to use some, I guess it's copper paste, anti-seize. And from my understanding is that will help prevent the dissimilar metals from corroding, the stainless steel going into aluminum. So I hope that's true. This is the third bike I've used these on. Other than that, I've got my new O-rings here, my new gaskets. I did order some genuine Honda O-rings to go on the water pump itself. I don't know if the aftermarket ones could be problematic, but I thought, while it's apart, I'll throw a couple genuine O-rings in there. And these locating dowels were new when I put it back together last time. And here's some larger ones that didn't need to be replaced. They were fine. And then a new oil pump seal, though I didn't have any oil leakage, so I don't think I need to replace it. I might just hang on to that. And here's the front of the transmission. If you haven't seen it before, this is where all those O-rings and gaskets come into play. Oil pump down here, and shift mechanisms and things like that up here in the front. And some of these passages are for oil and some are for coolant. So it's important to get all the O-rings and seals just right to make sure you don't end up with either oil and coolant mixing, or the problem I had with the coolant coming out of the weep hole. This is the old gasket with some of the O-rings that all seem fine. I don't know. I just haven't found any smoking gun problem. So I'll be getting this going here shortly. Let's see if it leaks when I'm done. So to get started here, I'm going to use my genuine Honda O-rings that go on to the water pump. Probably the O-rings that came with this kit are fine, but since I kind of wonder if that's where my leak was coming from. I thought I'll spend a few extra bucks on the genuine items, and maybe that'll give me some better luck this time. I like to use a little bit of waterproof grease when installing these, and make sure I don't nick them or cause any kind of damage. So I'll get this guy greased up a bit, and very simple to just slip it onto the larger diameter part here of the water pump, and then the other one just simply slides onto this section here. Give it a little bit of grease and slip it on. And that's all it takes for these two. And again, they're gonna sit, the larger one is gonna sit in this bore here, and the smaller O-ring will sit in this recess that's around the smaller part here. No real science to it. There's a hole in the bottom of this casting that matches up to the hole in the bottom of the water pump. And when those are aligned, then the screw holes here are lined up with the holes in this casting. So it really just slips in there. It's a tight fit, but it's not difficult. You don't need a press or anything. And here it is, giving me a hard time. All right, so that fits in like so. And from the back side, you can see this is just about up to the surface, and the holes here for the bolts are gonna tighten everything up. And let's see how this goes. I do have 3 new crush washers, so always want to use new ones for this. I'm again kind of wondering if that was the cause of my leak on my last try. I don't know that I got those tight enough, so we're gonna give it a try again. I don't have a small enough torque wrench for something like this. Okay, and not sure if that's obvious, but the crush washers are sort of flattened out, but I don't think it's too much. But I guess the real test will be when I get this thing assembled and fire it up. Now there's a bunch of other O-rings and gaskets here, fairly self-explanatory where they go. This one's going to fit here. I don't use any type of liquid sealant or anything, just the paper gasket should be all it takes. And I've never had one leak from this area. And then obviously this one matches up with the back side of this, and this is where it'll mate to the engine itself. I'm going to be using these small hex head fasteners to get this thing installed. And this is where these dowels come into play. And those help to make sure everything ends up being aligned properly. So that's how it's going to look. And then I'm going to put a little bit of fresh anti-seize on these threads to hopefully prevent any corrosion from the dissimilar metals. Oh, wrong one. This bottom one, I kind of forgot, it goes all the way through and screws into the casing of the engine, and actually so does this one. You can see where it comes through. So it's really only these two here that we're worried about with these smaller fasteners. These will use these longer ones. You can see how it works. So I'm not going to go overboard with tightening these two because I want to do a crisscross pattern once this is mounted up on the actual engine. So just snug them down a bit. And for now, that's all I'm really going to do with this piece. No sense putting the oil filter on yet. That just makes it more difficult. What I will be doing is putting the gasket in place, obviously, and then all these O-rings, line them up on the appropriate spots on the front of the transmission there with the water pump. So here's what we're working with down in the front of the transmission. It's a little intimidating at first, all those different sized O-rings. There's no instructions with the kit. Nothing's labeled. You just kind of figure out where they go. When I first ordered that kit, I emailed the seller asking, hey, are there any instructions here? Because I don't know where any of these go. I got no response, which is kind of unprofessional, but what am I going to say? I will say, though, that every O-ring, once you actually start doing this, every O-ring will fit one spot or another, and it doesn't become so mysterious once you actually start doing it. For instance, I just grabbed an O-ring from the pile, and it fits right here. One challenge is some of these O-rings don't want to stay in place as nicely as you might hope, and it can be a little bit of a challenge to get it to stay. And then you fit that front cover, and it may want to slip out while you're positioning the cover. This one I remember is one that has given me trouble in the past, and I just had to screw around with it until I got it. Most of the others from what I recall went fairly easily. Here's another one. Where does this one go? Okay, that one goes there. And then that one's got one of these larger, I won't call it a dowel, but it's a hollow, kind of a big hollow dowel. Not sure what else to call it. But that O-ring clearly goes there. There's a very small one here, and that one goes on this upper hollow dowel, whatever we're going to call it. So you really just go around the engine, and everything has its place. Here's another one. I believe it goes here. Yes, it fits there, no problem. And there's another one the same size on the opposite side. Here it is. So that one fits there, and pretty much you go around this engine and see where there's a groove for an O-ring, and you fit the O-ring into the groove. This one I know is going to be a hassle. I'm not going to record when I'm trying to position that because I don't want to offend anybody with language, but I do recall this one being a bit of a challenge to stay in place. because it's sort of like almost seems like it's just not quite large enough diameter, but it's the right one. It's just very, very picky about the way it's going to fit. And the oil seal is already in. I did not pull this one out to put in the new one from the kit I just bought, because this is a new oil seal and it's not leaking, so there's no reason for me to change it. So it's not so bad, this job. It's just a little intimidating at first. Here's another one of those metal rings that goes up here. And then that doesn't want to stay. Maybe it'll stay with the O-ring around it. There we go. I did notice that this kit, it's always it's labeled as the GL1000. Most of the O-rings work on the 1000. There's always one O-ring left, so there's something about the 1100 that's a bit different. Requires one more O-ring than the 1000 requires. So first time I did this, I was really worried that I forgot an O-ring, but I did learn that that's normal with this. And I think I've got just about all of them in place here. And of course, like I said, this one's going to fight me, but it's doable. I've done it on 4 different bikes, so I know I can get it. I just wish it was a little bit easier, because that one is tough. So I'll come back when I'm ready to fit the cover. So here's a trick that I kind of forgot that I did last time. For this one O-ring that is a little difficult to keep it in its groove. This screwdriver handle is a bit bigger than the O-ring in its relaxed state, and I've stuck it on the handle of the screwdriver to give it a little stretch, not much, but a little bit, and I'll leave it on here for an hour or so, I don't know. And when I'm ready, I will use some of my Bel-Ray waterproof grease, and I'll stick it in the groove and work quickly to get the transmission cover in place. And I think that'll do the trick. That's what I did on the other ones that I've installed, and the first time I installed this one I did this, and it did help. So I'll let this thing just get used to this larger diameter for a little bit longer, and I'll get her installed on the bike. All right, the O-ring is holding its size like I wanted it to. It's in the groove. I did put a little grease in there, and I'm gonna get this cover on. There's those dowels, those hollow dowels that kind of help keep things aligned. The shaft for the water pump needs to go past the oil seal and engage with the drive that's behind there. And there we go. I think I got it. I've got my fasteners nearby. I did put some copper paste on them. The wind just slammed my door and scared me. So the idea with the copper paste is the stainless steel fasteners and the aluminum engine casing that are dissimilar metals, and there can be corrosion. The idea is for the copper paste to prevent corrosion from starting. I don't think that's the right screw. Oh, I guess it was the right screw. Well, that's definitely not. The first time I did this, I laid them all out, and it was a lot easier. I thought I remembered where they all go, but obviously I don't. Oh, that's not right. And I'm just going barely tight on these. I am not cranking them down yet. Oh, one's too short. So once you get to some of these that are behind the frame rails, that's where you're happy to have these Allen head fasteners and a Allen wrench with a ball on the end of it. Otherwise, you cannot get at those JIS screws that Honda used originally. It is a nightmare. And when I have taken these apart on all my project bikes, I ended up having to just cut the heads off, because with the corrosion and not being able to get at it with the JIS driver, it's easier just to drill them or grind them or cut them and be done with it. So you wouldn't reuse those fasteners anyway. Okay, now there's a screw that goes up here, and it goes near the neutral switch wire that runs down the side of the engine here. There's a clip that holds it right here, so we want to remember to get that guy in there, and we don't have to go back and redo this part. And I say that because I've forgotten that before, and then I have to get in there and put that clip back in. Without it, the wire could touch the header. And I grabbed a screw that's too short. Okay, so I have two screws left. They're the short ones. They're here. They're going to be for this cover that's going to come here, which is also the lower radiator hose outlet. So that's why these two screws are remaining. They're going to go here. I've got that part still connected to my radiator, which is still laying on the ground over here. Let me show you. there's the cover there. And I didn't really want to take that apart because it can be a little bit of a bear to wrestle that all in. But so here's a different view of those upper screws. And the one over here, that's a bit of a pain to get to. The frame is right in the way, so it's very hard to do this if you're using the JIS screws. So with the engine out of the frame, it's no problem. But if you don't want to take the engine out, these are the way to go. Okay, so I did not record all of this process, but figured I would stop and take a break and show you. I threw some painter's tape on my freshly powder coated frame to try to protect it. And I got the radiator at least into position. Nothing connected yet other than the cooling fan. That's a hassle to reach that connector way in there. So I clipped that in place while the radiator was loose. And right now I only have the top two castle nuts installed, or cap nuts, whatever you want to call those. So it's part way in, and I'm on my way to getting the rest of it installed. And here's the bottom end. I mentioned the two screws that I had left that go here, and in my experience, it's a lot easier to get the radiator in place and have the bottom radiator hose with the spring and the clamps all in place ahead of time. I've tried doing it, installing the hose later. It's really hard. For me, this is a better way to go. You can get things lined up and get it tightened down. Trying to keep the spring from, I repainted it. I didn't want to scrape it up by wrestling with it and wrestling with the clamps and everything. So for me, this is the better way to do it. And I still need to get these bottom bolts in for the bottom of the radiator and then get this thing attached. So for me, this works better than trying to get the radiator in and then install the hose and get it all lined up and not tear up the finish on it and keep it looking nice. So here's the bottom fasteners that thread into the frame. They're just 10 millimeter bolts with a new washer behind it. And I'm just doing that temporarily because we're going to have this lower bracket here that mounts the screen for the radiator. It's going to mount right there. I don't think you can really see that. Let's see if I can adjust this. So it's going to install right here using those bolts. So for now, I'm just simply getting it into place, and then I'll get this bracket installed. And again, this is something I painted. I don't want to tear it up wrestling with things. So I'm trying to get things positioned before torquing things down. So here's the bottom water pump cover and the two fasteners for it. I put my anti-seize on the threads, and I'll get this thing tightened down. There's an O-ring in there. I made sure that it's in its groove. I'm not going to pinch it. This does not need to be super tight. You're going into aluminum, so you don't want to strip the threads. And there's an O-ring to seal that, so there's not really a need to put a ton of torque on it. I don't remember what the torque figure is. I go by feel, and I haven't had one leak, so that works for me. So now I'm gonna pull these upper bolts out. This one's fighting me. There we go. And we'll get this guy in place. And the purpose of this bracket is for these. There's a guard that goes in front of the radiator, and this is what that guard attaches to. Thought I had it. Okay, the upper and lower fasteners are in to attach the radiator and the two mounting plates for the grill. This will all have to be redone once I get my bodywork back from paint, because the side wings or spoilers, whatever you want to call them, they attach to the back side here. You can see there's a stud here. So this will all have to come loose to just install those things. You can see there's one down here. No way to get to it with this all in place. So this will be coming apart, but I did order new fasteners. These are from Honda. They're black ones here, and then some new chrome plated ones for the grill itself. It makes it look very shiny and nice. So those will be going in as well. I don't know if this angle is going to work, but let's see. Nothing real special happening here though. Putting the grill over the radiator and the new fasteners to hold it in place. All right, these don't take much torque. I'm just gonna snug them down. So there we go. We got new fasteners on there. It's gonna look pretty nice with the beautiful Antares red spoilers on either side of it. All that's really left with this now is put the drain plugs in for the oil and coolant. I have a new drain plug coming for the coolant because the old one is a little crusty looking. And it was due here yesterday, but it did not make it, so I'm hoping it'll be here today. And then of course, I need to get the radiator filled and radiator cap reinstalled. The hose to the overflow is here. And I'll need pliers to move the clip. But the radiator's in, and once I get that new drain plug, I'll fill it with coolant and fill the engine with oil. And let's see if I have another leak. I sure hope not. So I will update you when we get to that point. All right, we're all set here. The upper cooling radiator. All right, we are all set here. The upper radiator hose is in and the radiator is full. No leaks so far. I did turn the engine over a few times with the Kickstarter and saw no coolant or oil dripping, which is a good sign. So I'm currently adding oil to the engine, and I kind of usually just hook a bungee cord to this long funnel. It makes it much easier than trying to add oil to the fill port down there. So let's get this thing full of oil and we'll give it a try. All right, it is all oiled up, all full of coolant. Radiator cap is on and secure. There's no reason it shouldn't start. Question is it going to leak oil? Turn the fuel on. Left my flashlight there. It's probably dead. All right, let's see what she does. No leaks this time. There we go. That sounds pretty good right there. Idling a bit high, but the choke's still on. No leaking. Much less smoke. So I think I might be in good shape here. So I think I'm going to let it run a while. I'm going to set up a fan, let it get nice and hot, and make sure the cooling fan comes on at an appropriate time. But I'm happy. I don't see any leaks. Right now it's sounding pretty good. So I think we might have a winner finally. Only took 2 tries to get that water pump sealed. Pretty soon, it'll be on the road just like these 2 guys. So stay tuned, I'll have some updates here in the near future.